gentlemen, hamjambo. I am pleased to be here and I wish to welcome the various representatives and organizations to Uganda for those who are visiting us for the first time. To warmly welcome you again for those who have been visiting us several times, like my sister. And we recognize the efforts you have made and the wealth of ideas you are bringing forth for Uganda to be able to upscale its capacity to recognize prior learning and integrate it into the formal structures of learning process and equate it. While we have made significant progress in advancing education, adult learning initiatives among our population, attaining accreditation for knowledge and skills to qualify for the smooth transition for life learning opportunities and gainful employment is a challenge we do recognize and acknowledge and would wish we're open to learning from you. Our education policies have evolved since, and they were well aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals, specifically Sustainable Development Goal 4, which focuses on inclusive and equitable quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunities. For example, we have policies of an integrated early childhood development policy. We have universal primary education policy, we have universal secondary education policy, we have adult literacy policy, and the community development policy. We also have other government programs in place that implement such policies, and we have made considerable impact on the population, and therefore must recognize and unite, put our efforts together for the synergies so far built to benefit our national and regional human capital population, where I think we hold a comparative advantage. Uganda, for example, now we are about 49 million people. Tanzania could be in the 80s. I don't know. Is Tanzania 80 million plus? 60 million? I usually joke with my Tanzanian friends that they are very lazy at reproducing, because Tanzania is almost 3 times bigger than Uganda. And Uganda is really very, very fast. I think maybe they are very careful considering the resources and where they need to improve on the quality of population. So while we are very a productive age, a fertile age, Uganda has one of the youngest population in the world, with 76% of the total population under 35. And therefore, it hits us below the belly to imagine that 24% of that population remains illiterate. And unfortunately, the women holding about 6.3% million who are non-educated and 3.7 male, according to UBOS Statistics 2022. Tanzania is progressively ahead of us with a literacy rate of around 82%. And we recognize that they have made an achievement which we would wish to take lessons from in the East African region. I personally think having a national language was one of the big attributes that Tanzania took advantage of, because one language of instruction, which is indigenous, would make development of a curriculum easy, that cuts across the whole region, would make development of also the vocational studies much easier, and also acknowledging it at the national and different formal structures of education would be much easier. We have taken a step in also adopting the Kiswahili language, but has since been moved to the Ministry of Education, which I think disconnects it from the local people. if it had remained under the Ministry of Gender, it would be easy for us to integrate it within the local population. And therefore, once we gain acceptability, the whole country's acceptability to the language, then it is easier for us to develop the curriculum, appreciate the formal, the education, the quality, even the content, develop the content, assess it, and equate it. I think we shall still get there because Ministry of Gender and Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Water have now been clustered together for human capital development. So we shall still get there. Uganda is still committed to education for all agenda as advanced in Article 30 of the 1995 Constitution as amended. The Functional Adult Literacy FAR program that was nationally rolled out 1992 and 2015 was aimed at improving literacy and numeracy among adults and youth, especially in the semi and non-literate communities. By 2016, it had cumulatively reached 3,377,807 learners, where 1,101,291 were females, were males, and 2,227,518 were females. We had 40 instructors at the time, graduates of FAL with newly acquired literacy and numeracy skills, used practical knowledge and skills to enhance their abilities to engage in the development activities, support children's education, and participate in microfinance activities in their village savings and loans association. Actually, as we talk, with the parish development model program now we have for wealth creation, women who graduated from these FAR classes are the treasurers of every circle in the villages and even with the parish development model, because they gained numerical literacy, they are confident about their calculations, that even if you wanted to get changed money from them, from their circle, they would not allow. You give them money, they would make sure it remains the same money. They will not want to touch even a penny. They do not want to change that money into different numerical. So they are quite consistent. They know how to develop work plans. They also know how to develop the balance sheet. They know how to calculate what they're going to plant and what they're going to gain and what to keep for nutrition and also for the dry season. They even know how to know the seasons, how they are arranged. And so we think that was a good step in the right direction, and taking it on is critically important. And that is what has informed the government to ensure that we now have a code so that we factor this program into the 4th National Development Program to ensure that we have a sustainable income to inject in consistently, because we cannot afford to have our 24% of the total population illiterate. We know what they do in integrating the market. We know what they do in absorbing our productivity and really for maintaining us on the development plan. So the Integrated Community Learning for Wealth Creation program is a successor program for the FAR program and provides a wide range of components to adult learning, including literacy and numeracy, livelihood skills training, village savings loans, associations, and community learning centers. Like the Commission has already highlighted, we have gone back to the community learning centers, evaluated how they are, the status at which they hold now, so that we can be able to revamp them to have consistent learning in the villages. And I'm sure even those who attained formal education and were able to go back to the villages would want to be part of this learning process, because we want to uphold the continuous learning. And we have also identified the natural, okay, technology has responded. So we are very conscious about integrating both the formal and non-formal education population together, because they live in the same community. If they don't understand each other the same wavelength, it becomes easier for them to work together. We have analyzed those who also retire. At age 60, somebody is still really productive. And they also find challenges in fitting within the local population if they have nothing to do with the local people or do not appreciate or understand what they are doing. So we have analyzed the pensioners. As soon as they get pension, they should be able to take part into this informal education of the colleagues, citizens in the villages, so that they can integrate themselves. So I applaud DVVD International through the Uganda Country Office for the support of the pilot program that we have had in the 4 districts, Namayingo, Iganga, Biji, and Moya. Today we have added on Metiana and Lukonjiri, and we are now going to roll on. So the step you took to pilot was good for us to draw lessons, appreciate the program. Now that we are integrating it into our government programs, we are able now to roll on our own other 100 districts, in addition to the 6. So the role of the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development in the non-formal education is not exclusive. And I acknowledge the role of other government ministries, departments, and agencies in youth and adult learning education and skilling. Our concerted efforts for the implementation of the National Development Plan through the Human Capital Development is now well nurtured. We are now even looking at the early childhood learning before the formal education, where somebody starts at about 6 years. So this early childhood learning is one area that we're also taking up as a Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development to develop a curriculum for it, so that the number of nursery schools that we have all over in the country have a connected curriculum and a deliberate design for such a curriculum for further human capital development into the formal education. The establishment of the National Qualification Framework is critical in considering the gains made in the adult learning and skills program across the different sectors. While it is a common practice in many countries to oversee and regulate qualifications framework, ensure quality standards, and enhance the recognition and compatibility of qualifications, Uganda acknowledgeably has not yet developed such a national framework for non-formal adult learning and community education. And I think the stakeholders here, Ministry of Education, where the national educational curriculum is and is now well represented here. We have the universities, Makerere University, Chamberlain University, and the National Examination Board. We should be able to set a time, a framework, where we shall sit to think about this. You know, we are about to get into the next elections, and some people may fail to get into campaigns or even to participate because they lack the qualifications. Here we have senior 6 for parliament, but that is not a measurement of performance or excellence in articulating issues and concerns of the people. And we cannot only qualify English to be, or those who speak English to be the other ones who are knowledgeable and can represent their people effectively. So we need to do this very quickly so that we don't leave any human resourceful person behind in our development agenda, specifically in the political representation field. In alignment with the Continental Education Strategy for Africa, it is mandated that countries develop and implement national qualifications frameworks. These frameworks should promote and enhance mobility across the continent. It is to ensure that the recognition of the prior learning of competency acquired through the non-formal learning pathway is embedded. This conference is therefore a step in the right direction to interrogate the existing qualifications framework and recognition of prior learning practices with a view of developing national acceptable framework that recognize prior learning. I, however, feel as we discuss this, we need to ensure that we cover the contemporary cross-cutting issues within the content and the context of our content framework. Issues like gender equality should be socialized from childhood, from early childhood learning to formal education, and even after formal education, the process continues. When I was doing my research, my PhD research last year, I got to learn that in the northern part of Uganda, specifically West Nile, Karamoja, Kapchorwa, and some parts in the east, culturally do not allow women to own land and own high-value crops and domestic animals like cows, even if she bought the land herself, or bought the cow herself, or planted the coffee herself. But the presence of a male child will not allow this woman to own if the husband passes on. That is quite dangerous. So that's why I think we need to integrate gender equality from infant education so that people appreciate. Women in Uganda now are about 24, 26 million people against 22 or 23 male. So that's 2 million plus numbers of women, if they are not allowed to own property, if they are not allowed to have equal share, what will motivate them to work harder? The other thing is about climate change, which should also be inculcated into the content. And that is what is really pushing women into the marshland, the wetlands, because they don't own land. So they go to the wetland, which is government-owned land, to see how they get what they can hold on their own, because they have responsibilities of children and families to take care of. Of course, early childhood learning also becomes a factor into this change, into this content program. Because while we organize our curriculum on the formal, non-formal, if we don't include the content of early childhood learning and involvement, then our adult leaders, our adult learners will not encourage young people to continue with education. We know that in the primary education now, we have a dropout of girls, about 25%. So if the adult learners do not embrace maintaining children or girls' children's schools, it also becomes another challenge. We shall continue with this vicious cycle of women taking lead in illiteracy, unfortunately. So I commend DVVD International for collaborating with the government to embark on this journey as stipulated recommendations of the non-formal adult learning and community education strategy for Uganda. Through this partnership, we get to collaborate with the experts from the Institute of Adult Education of Tanzania and consultants from South Africa and Austria. I have no doubt that your collective efforts will be productive in our journey towards sustainable development of our region. Recognition of prior learning will enhance non-formal adult learning satisfaction, boost learning achievements, promote international lifelong learning and job access. It will also be a vital resource during the development of the National Qualification Framework. Our counterparts in Tanzania have a National Qualifications Framework where recognition of prior learning is key element running through all subsectors of the education system. We commend Tanzania for achieving that milestone, and we look forward to developing the same. Tunawashukuru. We wish to visit the team. We wish the visiting team a wonderful stay in Uganda. For the Tanzanian delegation, we'll travel to Namayingo district for the learning visit of the Community Learning Center. We hope they will all give us the feedback and we'll continue to learn from each other. We'd also wish to visit Tanzania so that we can be able to take lessons on how they were able to succeed on that journey. And since they are very close brothers of ours, we are sure that the lessons that we pick from them can comfortably fit into Uganda's situation because we don't differ so much. Therefore, I take the honor to officially declare this first East African Conference on recognition of prior learning open, and I wish you to have a great preparations. I should have loved to stay as an academician to be able to learn more. But while I was here, I was informed that I have to travel this evening, and therefore I have to go packing, but I also have other 3 programs in town. So I have to stay back home, pack, and then go to town, cover my programs, and be able to travel later. So when you see me stepping away from the podium, it's not that I have not provided this program well, but it's because of the busy schedule that is holding me. But I want to thank you so much. Please feel at home, and we really appreciate the efforts. Since 2016, we have worked a long journey together, and we appreciate you. Even the resources you have put in, the brains you have put in, the time you have given us, we don't take anything for granted. Learning is from cradle to death. We shall continue learning from each other. I thank you, and God bless you. Merry Christmas.